I bought this car sight unseen off Facebook Marketplace.
I got the car for £8,750, but I paid the real price when I found out how rusty this thing was. There was holes in almost every panel, but I then quickly learnt that Volkswagen in Germany made cars to a different standard than Volkswagen in Brazil.
I'm a little bit off
because the paint shop refused to take on this task. So for months, it sat on my driveway rotting and getting even worse.
So we brought it here, Surrey Auto Works, because these guys are going to do the restoration on it for us.
I had the car sandblasted by an 80-year-old man and delivered it to Kaz inside a Luton van.
And they're allowing me to come down for the day to get my hands stuck in, get dirty, and do some of the tasks, well, inevitably, they don't want to do.
My first job is to get this bonnet paint stripped so we can see what lies beneath it. First up, we need to score the bonnet with a Stanley blade. Now, I'm a little unsure, but I feel like I've seen this somewhere before, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Sorry Jordan, but maybe I might just score a big mark in my bonnet which just says rusty. Full of filler, don't bother painting it. Or even better, a big subscribe button.
So it's got to get worse before it can get better. So we have just keyed up the bonnet with a razor blade or a Stanley blade. This is going to make a surface which the paint stripper will be able to actually dig into the metal, pull the paint off, and then hopefully we can scrape the worst of it off and then sand it back. So let's crack on with it.
With the bonnet all scratched up, we're going to apply methylene chloride. Now this is basically paint stripper. We need to get the paint stripper on as it does what it says on the tin. It's going to strip the paint off the bonnet. As you can see, it's already starting to have a reaction which is really good. However, I cannot get it on quick enough. Paint stripping this bonnet was a little bit of a learning curve. I've done a few of these before, but I quickly realised that my application of doing this wasn't possibly the best way to do it. With full coverage of the paint stripper on there, we then put a plastic sheet on top. This was going to trap all the air in the bonnet, so the paint stripper would strip as much of that paint off as possible, increasing that reaction. We then moved on to scraping the bonnet to get all that paint off, which the stripper had done the hard job of removing. The problem with this paint stripper is I'm pretty sure it's designed to strip paint. Obviously it says that on the tin. However, if you can see this patch on the bonnet here which is really grey, that isn't paint. That is a great big dollop of chud. That is all filler. Which is why we're having to go at this again and again, and I'd be lying if I said we did this in the first attempt, because clearly you can see I'm doing it again. This is paint stripping, Angus. You're welcome. That's the bonnet almost stripped, and you can see that filler. Whilst I was busy being an apprentice, Brian was putting a shift in on the engine bay, trying to make it look good. You can see here he's cleaning up some of the metal, getting rid of some of the dirt and debris, getting ready for some welding. Now, we found this suspicious piece of rust here, which I think Volkswagen are to blame for. Once he cut it out, you can clearly see the extent of the rust and why it has actually rusted. And here's the answer. VW put foam inside the arches, which from factory has caused this to rust out. Just look at that, it looks like a slice of cheese. Although I think Volkswagen are to blame for the rust on the back, they cannot take responsibility for the rust and the shoddy workmanship on the front of this thing. This is a result of the sandblasting, and as you can see, there isn't a great deal of it left. It looks like the mice have been in and chewed this. We're going to have to pull up some special ideas to get this one sorted. But I think it's time we get the car up in the air, have a little look around it, underneath it, and just see generally what we're working with and what Surrey Auto Works have managed to get their teeth stuck into so far. Don't worry Kaz, the camera isn't rolling.
With the car up in the air, we can now show you guys some of the work that Brian's actually managed to get done so far on this, and you have made a noticeable difference with the work that he has carried out so far, albeit not too drastic, and the welder hasn't been out too much, but it has been out. So under the top of the gearbox area here, it's all been red oxide primer to stop the rust. He's been around here with a sander and sanded off the worst of around the back here. Still got some more to do, so we can get some more red oxide primer on there and then make this a little bit safer from rusting in the meantime. On here there was 2 holes which have been welded up, and there was a big dent which he has now hammered out. Also inside the wheel arches, they've been primed, now look really good. These were a little bit misshapen and they've been hammered out, made to look really good. This is quite funny. This just shows you how much paint is actually on this, and filler and all the rest of it. So no wonder we're struggling with getting that paint off the bonnet. But all in all, it's a bit nasty around here. It's not looking good, bruv. Under here you can just tell how holy this thing is. It's holes galore. You shouldn't be seeing daylight through there, but you are. Even down into here. But this thing is just a product of shoddy workmanship all over, and now it's finally time for it to be sorted properly once and for all. It definitely deserves it. Coming under here you can just see how rusty and cruddy it is. Up under there, again on here, which is why we're looking at changing this whole front piece. Really dented as well. I don't think it should be like that. I think it should be pretty smooth, but it's not looking her sharpest at the moment.
I may have travelled 4 hours to be here today, and my contribution may seem like a drop in the ocean, but any work I can do to keep Brian free doing the custom welding is a job well done in my eyes. Now if you could smash that subscribe button and support the build, that would really go a long way, and I'd appreciate that. But for now, let's jump back over to Brian's side of the workshop and see what custom fabrication he's got his teeth stuck into now. With Master Technician Brian taking care of all the big jobs, I decided to crack on with my apprentice task. Now, I need to get the undersill off inside this engine compartment, and as with everything on this car, it is on thick. So I've used a multi-tool, and as you can see, it's actually getting it off really easy. Not something I've thought about using before, but it did make a good difference. So we cracked on with the last job of the day, trying to get this engine bay nice and fresh, ready for Brian to come in here and do some smoothing. It really is a shame I have to come so far to help get stuck in with the lads and get this thing going. I was thoroughly enjoying myself and I'd finally found the rhythm, but unfortunately this is all I was able to achieve before the day had come to an end, but that is just the reality of it. But for me, now, it's a 4-hour journey home.
Unfortunately, that is all we have got time for. If you have enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button, smash that subscribe button down below. Most importantly, check out Surrey Autoworks and check out Auto Finesse YouTube channels. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.